I'm Brandon.
You have to make a
This pizza place right here.
filming something?
Oh, yeah, it's just my thesis.
Oh, do you go to NYU?
Oh, no, I go to School of Visual Arts. This small, innocuous pizza restaurant may not look like much, but to me, it's everything. This is my legacy. This is my story. Who am I? I'm Letizia's. Brendan Letizia. You think that was good? Maybe, I don't know, maybe too subtle?
It's very
too serious.
theatric. I like
Got the theatric? Okay, yeah.
I
This is good.
liked it.
This is a serious film. I gotta keep it in. Okay.
Well, you can tell that when you put love in food, it always tastes better, you know. And the crust for the pizza is nice. It's not hard. It's nice and soft, and it's beautiful.
For me, it's got that nostalgia feel because I grew up on it. I mean, I was raised by two places in Norwalk, Swanky Frank's and Letizia's Pizza. So for me, though, it's the thin crust. It's not heavy, and it's like that guilty pleasure bit of grease that you get from the cheese. And I'm a meat toppings guy, so I want a little bit of that oil from the sausage and the pepperoni too.
I've been doing this 31 years, and that's not including Uncle Joe's when I worked. I mean, so I'm 51. Let's do the math.
When we first started, I literally went to almost every company up and down, that Route 7 building where there's, hundreds and hundreds of companies just to get our name out there. Gave them a free pie, said try us out. We got a ton of customers that way.
So out of all the businesses to open, out of all the careers to choose, why open a pizzeria?
It was in the family, and pretty much been there since I was 14. So I didn't really know anything else. I didn't like school. I barely went to college, barely got out of high school. So when the opportunity came to open the first place in 1990, I had two guys put the money up. I had the recipe and the name. So I kind of got into business for nothing. So at that point, I was a bum hanging around, 20 years old. So I had to do something.
When I started college, I was a communications major and was interested in some broadcasting, did some sports broadcasting for a while. But back, in the early 90s, I don't think there was a lot of opportunities there where there is now. So I, out of college, took a job at a direct marketing company and knew that was definitely not my future. And, shortly after that, maybe about a year, that section of it was direct marketing when they went under, and I was going to lose my job. And that's when my brother, who was already in the pizza business with a couple other partners, approached me and said, hey, I found this really good spot. Do you want to go partners with me into the pizza business? And that's when I decided to change my career.
Yeah, we started this on like a shoestring budget. I think it was like
8,000 a piece.
Yeah, I think we had a partner
Yeah,
that
he-
ended up been coming in, but
Yeah.
we literally put in $10,000 a piece,
Yeah, so it was like less than 30 grand, I think.
which you can do today.
Yeah.
I think it's
You
impossible.
can't even get an oven for less than 30 grand. So.
We found our oven. One of our ovens, a friend of mine's father had
Yeah, it was
a
a store.
Spanish restaurant in South Norwalk that used to be an Italian restaurant years ago. Walked in and said, "Hey, Mr. Bermudez, how much for this oven?" He goes, "Just get it out of here."
He was using it as a storage closet.
It was
filled with like screws and paperwork and.
legs were cemented into the ground, so we had a sledgehammer.
The first restaurant I actually started with no money. I got 2 guys to put up the money, and then I had the recipe, and then a year later we came here. So
That'd be 91, I think 1991, right around there, 1991, at the the original one, and Stephen Street, and from there we came here and then followed it here. And I guess you could say the rest is history.
What was it like working in the early days with my dad and Dennis?
Oh, they're fully Italian. They got that fiery Italian, the quick fuse, I should say. But dude, I tell you, it's all good. I mean, they're always it's just a thing that Italians, I firmly believe, do. But you know, your dad was always good to me, and you know, I wouldn't have been here a long time if it wasn't a good place to be. And then there's Dennis, who's a teddy bear. You know, if he would do anything for you, but I don't know if I can say the word fuck, but if you fuck with him, he's gonna rip your head off. Pretty simple. But he would do anything for anybody, and it's hard not to work for a guy like that.
I think the biggest way like to describe it was it just felt like a second home, you know what I mean? Like it was just always happy and fun being here.
Yeah, I mean, also it's like, you know, Grandma and Grandpa lived right above the restaurant, so you know, it
that
really
definitely
felt homey. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had that good Friday routine where Mom and Dad would drop us off here, Mom would be working, we'd be hanging upstairs with them.
Yeah.
My dad would be doing the same thing. He'd bring me down to work with him, bring me upstairs, and then be working.
Well, for a couple of years, I helped out on Friday nights, probably the busiest night of the week, waiting tables and manning the cash register and all around just helping wherever I could.
And the relationship between Dan and Dennis, how, like, that's a beautiful brotherhood right there. Like, how do you think they complement each other, and how are they different?
Well, different in just about every way, and complement each other. Like, maybe Dennis is like the outside guy, and Danny would have been the inside guy, like figuring out more of the business side of it. Dennis is the heart and soul of that place.
Compromise.
Yeah.
You know, you got to compromise sometimes. You're not always going to see eye to eye on things, so you got to come up with some kind of compromise.
Yeah,
So, I mean, we ran a successful business for 25 years together, so.
Yeah, we had a good balance. I mean, you know, we knew our strengths, our weaknesses, and then you just work on it. You know, we had some really good employees that been here, and then we've had some really bad ones. But that's part of the business. I mean, I think it's worse now.
So this is Joseph Mario Letizia, Uncle Joe, my great-grandfather, the man who started it all, a pizza dynasty starting in 1937.
I don't know why it's on the back of the stone. This is the real stone over here. They're the only stone that has it on the back. I don't get that, but yeah, he died.
Was it a mistake?
I don't know. Just never. You don't see any on. Well, no, there's a few on the back, I guess, but not many. Maybe when you're looking from the road to find it, that's why they did it.
Unfortunately, I never met him, so I'm just going on stories. Ironically, he died 5 years to the day I was born, but from what I hear from all the stories, he was just a hard-working, fun-loving guy who really cared about people and cared about his product. It was another great American, immigration story where he came pretty much to this country with a nickel in his pocket, and he cleaned toilets and scrubbed floors and then, lived upstairs of this, restaurant, learned the business, and then ended up going into the business himself. So he was a very hardworking man who loved his family and loved being around the restaurant.
So this was from 1937 to 1947, right here. So if you see that painting at Letizia's, this is the alley.
Yeah.
And this was the original Uncle Joe painting. So they were here for 10 years, and then they needed a bigger spot, and they moved to Broad River. So if you look in the pictures at the restaurant, you'll see Grandma standing in there, talking to customers. But
wow.
I mean, they haven't been here since '47, but the building's still here. You can still see the alley and the painting we have, with the graffiti.
Yeah.
This is that building, and that was it. 10 years here.
My dad was married to Uncle Joe's daughter, Vicky, and I guess at some point he was brought in and he started learning how to make pizzas. And from what my Uncle Danny told me, it was his favorite only favorite Irishman he had. Back then, the Italians and the Irish didn't really see eye to eye, but I guess he liked my dad pretty much, and it became a family. So, from then on in, it was just anytime there was parties, it was always, hey, that's your cousin, that's your uncle. So it's a family business that we're very proud of them.
Can you guys describe your upbringing for me and where you grew up, what it was like?
Norwalk, restaurant business. What else?
Yeah,
it was good childhood, I guess.
Yeah, we grew up in the Broad River section in Norwalk and spent a lot of time at the restaurant, whether we were just there hanging out or I started, I think, when I was like 10 years old, bussing tables and never thinking that, years later be back in the business.
Yeah.
But it was a fun environment. It was like a family run restaurant where people came all the time. They had their regulars. There was a little bar and a restaurant at that place. So you got to, we knew everybody. Everybody was like family there, and it was fun. It was definitely a fun experience growing up in that environment.
Yeah, never went hungry.
That's for sure. This wasn't here when I was a kid. It was like a little just embankment, and then my grandmother lived in the house, and my Aunt Rosie and her family lived in the house that was back here. And this was like an embankment, and my dad, every once in a while would get all the kids from the neighborhood when we lived down that way over here to clean it up on a Sunday morning, and then he would cook us breakfast. Looks really different now. This glass encasement over there, I think they put in, the new owners put in, but looks pretty much the same.
So your father was running this restaurant, and how would you describe your father to someone who's never met him?
Oh, he's crazy. Yeah. I mean, in a good way, but he, had a little bit of temper, but he was good to us. I mean, but if you got him pissed, he was little, but he was nuts.
So it's true what they say about the Italian temper.
Yeah, unfortunately, I inherited it. It's a curse sometimes, but he was good. I mean, he was running it with his sister and family, but he was good to us. Grandpa was booking with this guy, Mr. Lanza. He owned the variety store. And I was the only 10-year-old who had his own phone, back then. This is in '81 maybe. So he would pay me $10 to sit by the stairs, and if my mother was coming, I'd have to give him the thing, and he would, every Sunday and Saturday, college football and pro football, I'd make $10. And he would be taking the bets up in my room, but my mother never found out, so That's how my life of gambling started.
And he loved his bets.
Actually, a good story is I was working at 14. I was washing dishes, making $5 an hour, and every time I got 300 bucks, I would give it to Grandpa. He'd put it out on the street, so I would get $330 back for 10 weeks. So I'd make 3 points, they call it. I'd make $300 on my money in 10 weeks, and I did that until I was probably about 18 or 19, and then credit cards got popular and all the loan sharks went away.
Yeah.
But I made thousands of dollars just every time I got a certain amount of money, you would add 3 points to it, and he would give it to the guys that lost in gambling. So I'd pay their gambling debts and they would pay me back with interest. So
Awesome.
that's how I grew up. It was all gambling all the time. He used to take me to the horse track. You know, I knew how to bet horses before I knew how to read. He didn't like the restaurant business.
No.
He did it to help his sister and his brother. The business was struggling, and his father asked him to come back. So he did it for him. He didn't like the restaurant business. He liked the limousine business, and he did it for 15 years. You know, while we were growing up, and just to help his father out. Well, his father died, but.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely a smart man too. He started after the restaurant. He went to work for a limousine company, and of course that didn't work out very well. So he said, "Screw this! I'll start my own limousine company." And then he started basically a company with just 2 cars and grew it into a multi-million-dollar company.
I think he had 35 cars when he sold it.
But and your father helped out when you first started, and what
I mean, he did, but it was more aggravation than it was worth. He yelled at everybody. He made Mark Stoltz cry open at night.
He did?
Yeah, there was a garbage pie which just has everything on it, and he told him don't touch it, and Mark went to take it out and dropped it all over the floor. And then he yelled at him, "Don't you move! I don't want you to move one more minute the rest of the night!" And that's how he talked. And Mark just sat there and cried the rest of the night.
Because I was going to ask, was there a clash between you and your father?
No, we didn't have a problem. He just
we were used to it.
Yeah. I mean, if you didn't know him, then it would be a little abrasive, but we're used to it. And he thought he knew everything. Like, we started putting gorgonzola on salads, and he saw we had this big block of gorgonzola. He came in, Porky's is a place that specializes in gorgonzola salad. He started yelling that they don't use that much fucking gorgonzola in a year. Since then we've gone through 10 pounds of gorgonzola a week for the last 30 years. Yeah, at least. Sometimes we do even more. So
eventually he realized you guys are gonna run it the way you want to run it.
And then finally he just went downstairs and took care of the lemon business and let us do our thing. But
yeah, I mean that was
he did help us in the beginning when we needed him. It just was a little frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, he lived upstairs.
Yeah, and we were
downstairs,
here,
and then the limousine business was downstairs.
Yeah, and our mother cleaned every week, and came in when we were closed and cleaned all the things everybody misses, and she washed dishes. So it was a family thing. Everybody was here.
Literally in every sense of the word. This is
it still is. I mean, pretty much.
It's kind of surreal in a way, because when we were kids, I didn't think about it like that. You just think, our parents work here, and it's just a place that they inhabited and have worked at for a really long time. And now, to be behind the scenes of it, it's definitely a lot different. It's a big adjustment.
Yeah. I definitely think it's a different view from when we were kids to now. It's definitely being behind the scenes and seeing it, like you said. Like it's very surreal seeing how it all.
Yeah, and like I told you earlier, you really get to appreciate, what our parents did for us more now that we see how it's done.
Yeah, we see what all the work behind the scenes that has to be done for this place to run smoothly. And it starts at like 5:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning with baking homemade bread.
Make the bread.
Always got to make the bread.
So, Dad, leaving this business for you was more of a career decision, or were you just?
I was just getting a little burnt out, and I figured, at my age it would be tough to get another job, and I really wanted to get out of food, even though I did get back into food the last few jobs I had, and then I realized that that wasn't my calling anymore.
It takes its toll on you after. I mean, I've been doing this 31 years, and that's not including Uncle Joe's when I worked. So
yeah, but this
add another 5, 36. I'm 51. Let's do the math.
This restaurant got me my job where I currently am now at Two Roads, because Brad, one of the owners of Two Roads was a great customer of ours. We developed a good relationship over the years, so that's how I got my foot in the door at Two Roads, and I've been there for like 5 years now.
How does it make you feel knowing that you've been part of a family business that has lasted for 4 generations now?
It's good. It's, you know, just proud. Keep it going.
You go in every morning and you see your name on the door. Does that mean
I'm
anything to you?
usually at 5:15. I don't know if you look up at the door, but I'm used to it. It's kind of, you know, repetitive, but I'm proud of what I do. You know.
Yeah, I think people love the fact that, you know, it is 4 generations, and the food hasn't really changed much than that.
No, flour, sauce, everything is the same.
Yeah, and you get a really good meal at a reasonable price, and you get great customer service, and that's like the key to success. Now, some people only have one of those 3 or 2 of those 3. I mean, we were lucky enough to have all 3 of those.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm proud of that. We're probably the only pizza place on the planet that doesn't deliver, like no Grubhub, no delivery, and as long as I'm here, I won't do it. Grubhub tried to come in, got rid of Grubhub.
No Grubhub.
No food. There's no delivery here unless it's corporate. You know what I mean? But to homes, not gonna happen while I'm alive.
Yeah.
People want good pizza, they'll go get it.
It's right, and the great thing about the pizza is it travels very well, and you know
it's actually good in the morning. Like a lot of these places, you bring it home, it's cardboard. Ours you can have for breakfast, cold.
I think people like a story, people like the history, people love the product, the food, the pizza is excellent. Even, you know, the home style cooking. It's not a fancy place, but people feel at home there. So, you know, I've seen people grow up through the years that I was there, 22 years. I've seen people grow up. I've seen, you know, unfortunately people pass away that were good customers. You know, developed a ton of relationships, and that's the part of the business that I miss the most of being out of it, is, you know, losing those relationships that would see people sometimes 2-3 times a week for years, and then all of a sudden one day it was gone. So that was tough.
Well, first of all, they have great food, but I think in addition to that, they're great supporters of the community. They have, over many years, been a big supporter of the American Cancer Society, which is really important.
There's so many other things that Dennis and Dave do. Social outreach. They donate a ton of pizzas to different causes. You know, it's beautiful. And again, it's the more they give, it seems like the more they get, because it's just so true in general, but that's really typified in Letizia's Pizza. And Dennis Letizia, I mean, he's the P.T. Barnum of pizza.
And over the years, you've won countless awards, yet whenever someone looks up or talks about best Connecticut pizza, it's always Pepe's Modern Colony.
Yeah. First of all, we wiped the floor with all 3 of them. Anybody come in, I offered multiple times do blind taste tests with these people after we've beaten them in awards, and nobody responds. So I believe our pizza's better. They got the aura and the fame, but we got the loyal customers. That's why we win the awards, because our customers actually go and vote. So, I mean, we've got the best of the Gold Coast the last 4 years. Connecticut Magazine 5 years in a row. This year, we're gonna win it, but they changed the category because New Haven had to be in there. So, I believe our pie's better than theirs.
This is a little bit frustrating.
A little, but I don't care. I got a good life. I'm not in it for, I don't barely come out of the kitchen. Most people don't even know who I am. So, I'm not in it for the fame. Just trying to put food on the table, take care of my family.
Oof, long day. So, what made you want to film this movie?
Oh, you're gonna hit me with that question? I guess I just wanted to make something important to me. I guess that quote, the Joe Strummer quote, comes to mind. You know, without people, you're nothing, and that always hit home for me. Yeah, I think that's profound enough. Okay. Oh yeah, there's plenty of person. It's an edgy art film. He'll be fine.
Edgy.